Daredevil Season 2, Episode 1, bang. I think, we finally got, Daredevil back. I think this was a great first episode. We had Season 1, we had Jessica Jones Season 1, so we're back kind of where it started for the Marvel Netflix shows. We're going to be getting Punisher, we're going to be getting Elektra, a lot more of The Hand, which I'm excited for because I love ninjas. And I think this was a great first start. I think what they did with Punisher was pretty cool, and they saved him for the end. Even though if you saw the promos, you saw what he looked like. But as far as the episode goes, it was a lot of Nelson and Murdoch. It was a lot of them as lawyers, which I actually enjoyed. Oddly enough, it was like this is where the business is compared to season 1. This is they have all these clients and stuff like that. Still broke because they have the little scene where they kind of take food as payment a little bit. So we find out they basically have no money, and then they take on this case, which is going to be kind of like the big deal because of course it ends up involving Frank by the end of it. But they take on this case from this guy who's with the Irish mob. They all get wiped out, and I thought they were going to be a bit of a component because it's like, okay, they talk about Fisk and how once he was gone as like kind of the big bad, there's a vacuum. There's a vacuum of power, and Madame Gao is gone. Of course, the Russian guys, they got killed off. So everything's gone, and it's kind of just wide open for people to take over. And I was like, okay, so it's going to be kind of a mob war sort of deal. And then we stop the Punisher kind of dealing with that, and then Matt's going to have to be dealing with him and dealing with the mob and trying to figure all that stuff out. Plus ninjas coming in, whenever they decide to come in. It's like, no, that's what they were planning, but they all got killed. So mob's gone. Some bikers got killed off. It wasn't clearly, because Foggy goes to the biker gang, so not all of them got killed off, but some of them got killed during kind of a big score. They were bringing some stuff into town, and we found out that they were killed by Frank, who apparently, by the end, because I was like, I'm assuming this is Frank because it would be early for them to, based on everything that happened, I was like, alright, it's obviously, this is the Punisher's work. He's using weapons and stuff and just blowing people away. And then I was like, there are also people like, hanging like meat on, and then they're like split open and stuff. I was like, maybe that's him, I guess. So that could be some weird ninja stuff happening. But it was Frank. It was Frank. I'm assuming he was torturing the guys, and that's why he like cut the one dude open. And he either stabbed the guy because it was so dark I couldn't see, but the second guy they showed, it looked like he was either cut vertically or just stabbed straight through the chest. But we find out that he's like just hanging people, and I guess that's how he gets his information. One guy had the hook going like straight through his neck and was like kind of in his mouth still, so I was like, man, he kind of gets some information, and then he just destroys these people. So that was pretty nuts, but I liked how they did it. I think the pacing was good for this first episode. We get, kind of introduced to the background in multiple ways, like what's going to be happening this season, because we have, people trying to take over. Of course, we have Punisher, which was obvious, and then we have, kind of our little attorney team. They're all working to help this guy who ends up surviving, and I'm very curious how long he's going to end up surviving. I'm also curious how Frank even found him by the end of this episode. I was like, how did he even know? I guess he kind of just looked into, some random people. He probably kind of looked up all the names or something crazy like that. It's like, okay, this is totally a fake name that has, nothing behind it, especially if you looked up the whole wife component. So that's probably how we found him, but it was pretty nuts. Like, that was a great scene too, because we get to see him, and it's like, it's not an army, it's just one guy. And then we get him walking down the hallway. He's got his shotgun like just slightly hanging off his jacket. Terrible cop. He just let him walk right up to him, and I love that scene because he takes the gun from him and he undoes it and everything, and he just throws it right in this open trash can. I was like, man, I didn't even know that was right there, but it just looked really cool. So he does all that, and then he whips out this shotgun. He knows who he's going for, and he's just shooting. And I love the fact that he has like insanely high powered ammo, which seemed to be the case in this episode, because in the beginning, when those guys were robbing whatever they were robbing, I guess a jewelry store open late at night, or they just broke into one, when one of the guys turned and he shot that cop, she like flew back. I was like, that is some insanely high powered weaponry. If a cop is like running at you and you shoot them and they get, it's like super strength, like someone punched her or something, because she like flew back. I was like, dang, that is an insanely powerful weapon. But I don't know. I know the Punisher has that, but I guess they did too. I have no idea, but that was crazy to me. But I love the fact that he has like really high power weapons because it makes it look really cool when they do a little chase. Like he's blowing stuff away, and like when he shoots through the door after they go down the little fire escape, and he shoots, and it just puts like pellets like straight into the wall. But they're pretty big pellets, and he was fairly far away. I'd say he was, a pretty big flight of stairs, and he shot it, and those holes were still really freaking huge by the time they hit the wall. So I was like, that looks really cool because it just shows how insanely, strong his weaponry is, like how terrifying these bullets are. And they give an example of that where one of the new characters, who is seriously the dramatic, like, black chief cop type character. He's not a chief though, he's just like a detective. But everything he said was like out of a 70s movie where the black angry police chief says a bunch of stuff. That's what that guy was saying, and it was really funny to me because he's like, I can't remember exactly what he said, but basically it was, how does a bullet go through a vest thicker than my dick and then come out the back the same way? I was like, okay, it's clear who he is right now. It's clear exactly what his character is gonna be. So that should be interesting. I'm assuming, considering they even gave him, a bunch of lines, that he's gonna be, showing up throughout the season. I don't really know what to expect from that character. It's clearly not going to be as serious. He's clearly not a reporter or anything super serious like that. But I'm looking forward to seeing how they kind of play with this character because it was really funny. But I could see that getting old pretty fast. I'm like, wow, he is straight out of he's every angry black cop chief. Like that's what he was like, and he's not even the chief. He's just one of the detectives or something. So it was really funny in this episode, but I'm like, I don't know how they could keep that going. I would assume he's not going to be in every episode, like every single case. He'll say something like, oh, he'll just swear or say something, I don't know. But it was funny for this episode. I'm like, I don't know where they're going with this guy, but it was funny to start. So we'll see how that plays out. But it was just like, wow, that's a twist. That is a opposite characters. So it's like, we got a new black guy come in, and he is like the total opposite of the guy that died last time. So that was funny to me. It was funny. I'm curious to see, where it goes and how they kind of play with the idea of this character. I don't know if he's playing someone that's in the comics or anything like that, because he certainly could be. There are a billion different people that, that aren't superheroes that do show up in the comics. So he could be someone like that, and that might be just how he was written, especially if it was in the 70s. That would make a lot of sense, actually. So that could be the case. I don't know because I'm not too into like Daredevil as far as his comic storylines, and I certainly don't know any of the characters that he knows that aren't superhumans, to be totally honest. So we'll see where that character goes. But I liked him for this one, but we'll see if that kind of gets annoying because I could see that getting, as soon as I heard it, I was like really funny, but I could see that instantly getting annoying. So maybe it's not like just super over the top, and he's talking about he said, when people do like those really weird one-liners, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but it's just like no one would really say that, and it's just like 3 swear words in the middle of it, and then it ends with something like penis, and it's like, how do you think of that to say in this type of moment? But I feel like that's his character. We'll see where it goes though. But I enjoyed this first episode for sure. Ending fight scene was good. Opening fight scene with Matt taking down all the guys was pretty cool. Ending was definitely really awesome. I really love the fact that it started off and after Matt knocked Frank down, I'm probably going to be using their actual names instead of their superhero names, but after he knocked him down, he still had his shotgun, because it's basically like strapped to his arm. So when he knocked him down and he's just like trying to shoot him and he's aiming up, I thought that was actually pretty cool because he's like trying to move around and stuff. And Frank, even when he had him, I think he was like about to choke him or something, and Frank was just like this and tried to shoot him. I was like, that's pretty cool because he just has like this, little pump action shotgun on him, and he's just like moving around and he's just like spinning and trying to shoot this shotgun like off his side and just shoot straight up. So I was like, that's actually pretty cool. And then they have a really good action scene, just hand to hand. I thought that was actually very awesome. Like they're going back and forth. Matt has his like martial arts training, but Frank has his like military training. I'm assuming, because it's Punisher, that's who he is. He was a military guy, so I'm assuming they'll go with that. He has a ton of training, and he's almost superhuman in his own right. Technically, he's not, but he's like one of those weird type of characters where it's like he can take a lot of hits for just a normal human character. So he is that type of guy where he can do stuff that most people wouldn't be able to do because he just has that sort of just insane training. I think a great example, actually, for anyone who saw Jessica Jones, would be the one guy, I can't think of his name right now, but the guy who would take the pills, and he would basically have super strength for the most part and kind of be able to push through stuff. Frank is kind of like that naturally, so I could see him standing up to a lot of stuff. I watched a video recently about his character, and like apparently in the comics, he can take bullets and just keep going, like take hits from super strength, superhumans, and keep on going if he really needs to. Like he has an extent, but at least one punch from like someone with super strength, and he can keep going. So I don't know how far they're gonna push that in this, but he can definitely take on Matt, who doesn't have super strength. He just has the super, he has the agility, but not like super strength or anything. So they had a pretty cool match. We got to see like a lot of different moves. Matt had a really cool like double kick thing. I really loved that. That was great use of slow motion. Frank did like a suplex, which was pretty cool. I was like, they went back and forth and it was fairly even. And then it ends with the line that is actually in the very first trailer for this season, and that's "Bang." And I thought that was pretty cool. And he pulls the gun on him, and I swear, either he caught the bullet or he was trying to catch the bullet, but Matt like put his hand up, and I don't know if he caught it or not. I know he's fine. Obviously he's fine, because the suit's bulletproof. But I'm like, it looked like he caught that bullet because he knew he was about to do it, and that makes sense because of his senses. So I think they're gonna show it in the second episode. Like he actually caught that bullet, but it was like an insanely high-powered bullet. Like he probably wasn't even expecting it to do anything. Like it'll hit my hand and knock it to my chest and I'll stumble, but it was probably just like, holy crap, and it was like 5 times stronger than he was expecting, so it sent him over the rooftop. But I'm looking forward to this next episode. Definitely looking forward to the whole season. But I think they did a pretty cool job showing kind of how times have changed, and they have quite a few scenes where Matt and Foggy talk about Matt being Daredevil, and Foggy really freaking out, and it's like he's he doesn't really say like you're a brother to me, but he's like, I don't want to lose you. Like he's freaking out really. Like you can tell he's being super calm about it, so it seems sort of nonchalant, but the fact that he keeps bringing up, it's really clear that he's scared. And he mentions like I'm past the point of worrying about the broken bones and you being beaten into a coma, but you can still die. Like he's still worried about the fact that he could die, and that's just how it is for him. So I actually like how that's playing out. I could easily see that bothering some people where they have those conversations, but for me, I'm like, I feel like it makes perfect sense because Foggy had a huge issue with it in season 1, and he's a little bit better about it, but he still doesn't like the fact that Matt is doing it. I think it's beyond him being kind of like his initial reaction was just like, you're going against the law and everything like that. I think at this point it's like, I'm not worried about the broken bones and stuff, but there's still like the number one issue is you could die. Like at some point there just could be someone better than you and they could kill you. So it makes sense to me. I kind of like that aspect of it. I like getting to see their attorney side of things actually was entertaining. Oddly enough, they make it entertaining. I don't watch a lot of lawyer type shows, so for some people it's probably even more entertaining, but for me, I'm like, I think they do a good job for that for people who aren't exactly interested. You have interesting characters. Of course, Foggy being the funny guy, it makes it a lot easier to go through law stuff. But I think the way that they do it is cool as well. So I certainly enjoyed it. Karen, of course, instantly thrown into the mess because she's trying to help this guy while they go look out for information, and she does like like the fake story thing and being his wife, and she's right in the thick of it. We find out that she has the one guy's car. I wish I could remember his name, but we find out that she has the reporter's car from the last season, and they're taking off. I'm sure they'll be fine. They'll most likely end up at the office because I don't know where she's living, but they have the office, and that's always where they end up taking people and doing stuff. So they'll probably be at the office or something. But looking forward to the next episode for sure. Definitely want to know what you guys thought about this one, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, least favorite parts, and I want to know, are you guys excited for season 2? You probably are if you're even watching it, because the first season was amazing. But I want to know, at least after this episode specifically, are you excited for this season? Do you like the way that they introduced the season, the way they introduced Punisher? I think they did a great job with his introduction, because of course we all knew it was Punisher in the very beginning. and then the way they play it out where Matt doesn't know, and it's like it's just one guy, and then his official opening shot where he's in the episode, which I didn't think he would even be in this episode. I thought they were gonna save it until like maybe the last second, and we see him for the first time at the very end of the first episode. But I was really glad that they did it that way, and I guess because it's only gonna be like 12 or 13 episodes, I was really glad to see it that way. I assume it's only 12 or 13. I actually don't know, but I was glad to see that they did that, because when he first showed up, I checked the time. I was like, oh sweet, it's still like 5.5 minutes. So I was really glad that they did it where he did have a nice chunk, at the end of the episode. It wasn't just like, oh, here he is, as if we hadn't seen the trailers or heard all the news that, Punisher was going to be in the season. So I was really glad that they didn't do it that way. And I think he had a pretty cool introduction. First person whoops, clearly I didn't put that on silent. But the first person, we really see him take down, technically, that we see him take down, is a cop. And that's kind of the funniest thing to me, because that's kind of not his thing. He, of course, doesn't kill him, because that's not what he does. But I thought they did a good job with that. But like I said, I want to know what you guys thought about the way they introduced him, and whether or not you guys are excited for this season, because we got a lot of stuff coming in. I'm still curious if we're going to get anything on Fisk, because even in the last trailer that they did, part 1 and part 2, there was nothing showing Fisk. So I'm still very curious if he's going to make an appearance at all this season, or if they're solely going to focus on Punisher and Elektra, which is fine by me, because it kind of makes sense. Like, why would they show it unless he's going to suddenly break out at the end? But they do mention Rikers, which I thought was pretty cool, because Rikers is like a big Marvel prison. So I was like, that's actually awesome that they mentioned that. So that was pretty sweet. But like I said, definitely want to know what you guys think about his introduction and what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.